this is going to be a little controversial. This advice isn't for everybody. It's only for the people who agree with me. But if you're an artist or just a person who feels like they need to make money from what they love, stop it. Also, I know I went a little crazy on the eyes today, but we are learners around here and we try and fail in public until we figure it out, and then that progress is that much more sweet, hopefully, is what I'm hoping. I look like an exploded snowball, but I'm not mad about it. There have been worse looks. But yes, hi, my name is Kate. I am an artist. I am a musician who currently lives in Brooklyn. I've lived in New York for the past 5 years. I usually have, give or take, around 20,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. Not to flex at all, because that's pretty small in the grand scheme of things, but also something I'm very grateful to have. But to give you context of where I am on my artist journey, the reason why I feel compelled to make this video and have this conversation is because 2 years ago, I was so frustrated and fed up about the financial structure of the music industry, which I still am, by the way. But I realized in a practical sense, if I did not decouple my ideas and my time and my dedication from milking every cent I can out of commodifying my art, I would grow to hate it. For some people, that's not the case. That's a great motivator. But for me, I have always made art even when there was like no money attached to it. The process has always been the fun part. Marketing is just something I've picked up along the way and learned about by way of wanting people to listen to my music, please. And now may I present to you 4 reasons why you should give up on the dream. But not really. I really don't mean this, and I feel like this is going to come off pessimistic and as though you shouldn't do art, which you naturally, as an artist or a creative, you've been told this so many times by people who do not understand what it's like to have something gnawing at you constantly and you constantly having the need to output that experience. I'm not trying to be one of those people. I'm trying to have an honest conversation with you, dear audience member, so that we can explore together the many ways to be a sustainable artist. I will say, I don't think consuming this sort of content was really helpful during my beginning first couple of years in pursuing music, because I really just needed that time to be headfirst, not thinking about anything else except how can I get better, and having that incubation period to figure out your style and learn the technical skills, which around my case are music production. But once you have that, you have a couple of like projects under your belt, you start to think, all right, boys, girls, theys, everyone, what's going on here? Because you know what? Making art is incredibly expensive, not just in time, but also financially. I am very much of the mindset as you should use what you have at any given time to maximize, don't use your equipment as an excuse. I have the same $100 MIDI keyboard that I used when I first started producing, and that has been great for me. What the undeniable factor is that there are so many different things that go into being an artist, right? Or an artist that chooses to market themselves. So visuals, very expensive. You could argue that you don't need to do them, or you don't need to put a lot of effort into it, but I firmly believe that people can sniff out when you don't feel like super passionate about something, which is why like I will never get the argument of like ChatGPT like making a book because anyway, that's a different topic for a different day. And then if you wanted to promote using like ads, that's another expense. I don't really do that, but shows, Shows are expensive. Rehearsal time. If you're like me, I really want to put together a set, an experience, and there's props and there's outfits. And yes, art is expensive. And you know what else, which is very, very tragic, is that a lot of art forms over the course of history, and our timeline included, do not pay proportionate to the effort that you put in. I guess that could be said about many trades and businesses, but let me give you a figure to give you a bit of context. If you follow me on TikTok, you have probably heard this 1,000 times because I shout on my phone about this all the time. But if you're curious to see what, some of your artists may make from something like Spotify or a different streaming platform, there are these wonderful things called streaming royalty calculators. I am going to put in 1 million streams, and we are going to see how much money you make from 1 million streams. Do you see that? You probably don't, because it's a phone and I don't know how to refocus things. The figure is $4,000. So you get 1 million streams, you get $4,000, which sounds like great. Thousands of dollars, that's awesome. When you consider the fact that that's assuming you have 100% of your master rights, your publishing, everything else, not signed to a label, or you're not signed to a distribution agreement that takes a point of your royalties. So that's assuming you all have all that, which is downright near slim margins here. We take that figure and we multiply it by 12. And this is assuming you have 1 million monthly listeners every single month. Every single month you're getting 1 million streams. So 12 million streams in a year will earn you a salary of $48,000. And that is a overestimation. And yeah, I mean, $48,000, that's probably more than some teachers and really important roles that people actually develop skills and really help the people around them for. So I'm not trying to say this to complain or say that musicians are entitled to make a lot of money, because that's not what I'm trying to say. It's just kind of shocking from what you would expect an artist who earns 12 million streams a year, which is not an easy feat, would only be making that amount, and more than likely less than that amount. It's very disproportionate to any other professional that was at that level in a different industry. And that makes sense. I mean, it's basic supply and demand. Take a look at any profession that is considered a fun or well-desired role because it's, do what you love. There is always in any job some sort of sacrifice. And for the fun ones, that usually comes with financials. So Kate, you've just spent a couple minutes just yelling at us. Why? Something that was a really big turn of events for me is realizing consciously that maybe it's better if I'm not basing my passion and what I really love in my pure heart of hearts, if I'm not banking on that being the provider of my full-time income. And it sounds like such a simple realization, but feeling that and letting myself be, in my mind, a little more pragmatic about it, and where I'm at in my career and what I want to do when it comes to funding my art. I don't have to do all these really intricate visuals and costumes and etc. I don't need to do that, but I want to do that. And I also really want financial security. I read a couple of books. There's one called Exit Stage Left, and it kind of just talks about what happens to one-hit wonders after they have receded out of the spotlight. And it's like, it's a hard pill to swallow, but I think every artist should be conscious of it. I think one of the hardest things is, and myself included, is growing up with an environment where everyone says, you're doing it wrong, you're never gonna make it, blah, 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 blah. And there's so much resistance, and you as the artist have to push through so much of that BS that any acknowledgement of, ooh, maybe I need to expand my scope of what my dream is here. Anything like that feels like a surrender, feels like you're losing your integrity as an artist. But I think that's such a huge misconception, because while some people might think that being an artist is about making a full-time living from a craft that you've cultivated and made it big, it's not about that at all. It's about being inward, and it's about transforming your experience, any experience, into something that you perceive as a vehicle to connect with others. Everyone is an artist in their own right, I think, on optimistic days. We also need to remember that so many of the greats have day jobs or have had day jobs, and that is so important. There's so much glitz and glamour and kind of like this need to build up an image in order to render yourself as someone to be idolized, or someone to create, more prolific art, iconography. We lose some of this like everyday practicality, grounded thinking of where we're gonna go as people. And I'll admit, all the time, I have a real challenge straddling myself between this like dream world that I'm so drawn to and I love so much, and then also, like, I gotta pay my bills. I want to like hopefully save money so that I can have the chance of like owning a home maybe someday. That's important to me too. And those two parts of myself are constantly fighting. But if I don't put guardrails in place and think about my art holistically, not only will my art swallow me whole and render me in a much more challenging financial situation, I just won't be able to make what I love. It's really important. Like, it's very simple in a way, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We need security and to feel, like we are safe in order to do that wonderful thing artists do to transform stuff and be more reflective and create, or at least that's what I need. Not that it's the best method or something that I wish wasn't necessary, but artist patronage has existed for forever. The trope of the starving artist has existed forever. I want to be sustainable. I want to, regardless of whether or not I become more well known as a creative or anything else, I want to still be making when I get older, because that's the part that brings me joy. Once I put out a song, I'm done with that. It's gone. That process, that moment of trial and error that brings me so much joy in trying to communicate how I feel, it's gone. And I want to be on to the next thing, and I want to know that I've cultivated the resources I need to support myself, support my loved ones, and also support my creative process. I've made the conscious decision of even setting guardrails already. Like, I thought when I became a producer, audio engineer, freelance, that would be great and that would be my job path, and then I would do music whenever, but I would make the money from producing for other indie artists. And I've done that for a couple of years, and like this past year, I've kind of said, you know what, I'm not enjoying this. And admitting that to yourself is hard, because there is such an idea of like, why wouldn't I enjoy this? Isn't this everything I wanted? But what I realized is me spending all my creative energy on someone else's project didn't leave enough time for me to express my own stuff, or as much as I'd like. And that was not a sacrifice that I'm really am interested in. So I guess this is to say, it's like, let yourself take your own path, take your own shape. Decoupling your artistry from money-making potential or your passion or whatever also takes the pressure off. I don't have to think about whether Billy Bob on TikTok is going to enjoy what I'm making next, because I want to do it for me. And ironically, I think the more you can lean into what's unique about you and what's unique about your sound, in music's case, I think that's probably the most holistic, wholesome way to find people who are actually genuinely into what you have to say and what you have to create. I don't know really what else there is to say. I just felt like I needed to say something, because I think that would have helped me when I was younger. I really enjoy having a 9 to 5. That I'm not super duper, you know, like it's not, it's eating my vegetables. But eating my vegetables also makes the dessert so much sweeter. And that is what's so awesome. Music is my refuge, but I I don't also want to put that into like my securities column, and that's okay. Some people do, and that's awesome, and I commend that, and you do you. But also know it's okay if you don't want to do that. And also, it's okay to change your mind, especially like on this artist pass. There's like that sunken cost fallacy, right? Like, I put so much effort into this. Oh, it's all gonna be for nothing if I just quit. And it's no. Whether you're conscious of it or not, going through any experience, you're learning something. But I think the quicker you can be honest with yourself and kind of check in and see how you're actually doing, the better, and the better for your work. That's all. Have a good one. I want to hear your thoughts. Tell me your thoughts. Please. I'll give you a penny.